not black or white. With Tim Stevenson and Diane Blakely. Not black or white. It's not black or white with Tim Stevenson and Diane Blakely. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of It's Not Black or White. We are your host, Tim Stevenson.
Diane Blakely.
I don't even know where to start. Okay. We're going to combine, I think we're just going to combine free speech and Jimmy Kimmel kind of all in the same bubble.
Yeah, we're
what's happening in this crazy world right now.
Shouldn't we start with 8647?
Yeah. So 86 is a term for like when you get rid of something, right?
Right. But
it's not a kill number, right?
It's not.
It's not meant to say you're gonna. It means get rid of, right?
Yeah, like if you're in a restaurant and if you've ever worked in a restaurant and they're like,
86 those plates,
right?
Yeah.
Like they'll use that term to 86 in order, right? Like
right.
No, they don't want the veal chops, 86.
So at what point did we? I mean, are people interpreting that as kill?
I think some people are.
Eliminate.
It's
well,
the
if
most
I eliminated a
first of all
bag of apples, that doesn't mean I killed something, right?
It's just ludicrous to me because it's really, I mean, we all know what this president is doing. Because think about the chain of events. He gets rid of Pam Bondi. I think he was quite disappointed in her sort of interrogation situation with Congress. He didn't feel that she did a good enough job. And shortly thereafter, she was fired because I think she didn't make good television. She looked bad. And I think that was the impetus for him to get rid of her. But I also think it was because he really wanted her to go after his adversaries. And I don't think she did a good enough job. Comey was out. Letitia James was out, and she had failed to.
So basically, he 86 Pam Bondi.
He 86 Pam Bondi. You're right. He 86'd her. But the thing that's crazy is that he now has an acting DOJ acting. Yeah, he has an acting
head of the Department of Justice.
Yeah, another head of the Department of Justice, and he has what is his name? I think his name is Blanche. Last name is Blanche.
Is it the guy that has like a bunch of names within a name?
No, I think he has a very common name.
Is it?
I want to say Doug Blanche, but I might be wrong. I know his last name is Blanche for sure.
Gotcha.
And he's interim. He's like the in-between guy before they get the person.
They appoint another person.
Right.
Gotcha.
But Doug Blanche, I'm pretty sure that's his name.
So
but he's now charged with going back after these people. So of course, with James Comey, that 8647 was in the sand. And to be fair to James Comey, when it was brought to his attention that it could be interpreted as something that could be violent, he's like, hey, he publicly apologized and said, that's not what I meant. I didn't know that term was used like that. And so I feel the Timism coming on.
I just find it interesting when we kind of cherry pick what something means like that, like 86. So for instance, there are bumper stickers that have like Biden, Trump, Bush, that have a red line through it, like a circle and a red line.
You're right. There are. And if we're going to sit there and start worrying about cherry picking, we got to start at the top where the cherry picker in chief, that's what he is, the cherry picker in chief. Like if I can go and do all these things to others, but God help me, if someone does it to me, everybody's got to pay a price. I mean, let's not forget that Trump reposted Biden tied up. A guy had put a big, massive sticker that covered his entire tailgate, and it was Biden gagged and tied up, which...
Well, no, I'll give you one worse. I'll give you one worse than all those things, because she's not in jail. Well, she held up a beheaded figure of Trump's head cut off.
Oh, you're talking about the comedian.
The girl,
Kathy Griffin? Was it
Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
That is way worse than 8647. That was a little bit out of line, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was kind of.
And no one's indicting her on that shit. But they're gonna.
But I will tell you, they made sure she was 86 for quite some time. That woman couldn't get a job for several years.
And rightly so, to be honest. I mean, that was extreme.
Well, so this is where we get into a gray area. I personally thought it was grotesque. I would
Right.
not have approved that. She is a hardcore comedian. Like
True.
her style, her I guess the best thing I can say is her style is kind of harsh. She's kind of a harsh human in terms of her humor, and so I still think it was over the top. I would not have done it.
Right.
Like I thought it was gross.
Right.
You know, but do I think she should have been banned in a way that she couldn't make a livelihood? No.
Well, I mean, if you're a corporate company, you don't want to be associated with that, so that would be normal for it to pull out. Like, okay,
well, I think
you can have an opinion, but sometimes depending on the corporate interest that sponsors you, it may be too much.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think she probably crossed that kind of line where people are like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to hire her. It's controversial." I mean, the Dixie Chicks, you could talk about them.
Yeah.
The Dixie Chicks, I mean, they didn't say anything violent. They didn't show anything violent, but they made it really clear. They're now just called the Chicks, but they were called the Dixie Chicks at the time. We're getting all crazy with
They don't love them in Dixie no more?
No, they just wanted to make sure that they were a little more politically correct, I think, which is why they changed their name.
You think that's where all that kind of stuff started?
What? The change of their name?
No, the whole, like, you can say something and then be canceled for it like that because it was...
I think there was a lot of canceling, but I don't think,
not as
to be fair to Trump, it wasn't all done with Trump. Bush was the one who canceled the Dixie Chicks.
Well, no, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But do you think that preceded like how we're now?
I think it definitely set a precedent to show that the leader in chief, the leader of the free world, could exact his power in a way that would ironically would be totally against what our founding fathers, because our founding fathers left England because of persecution, because of taxation, and for being persecuted for your religion. So here we are in the 2000s, and suddenly you have leaders in a democratic body doing stuff like that. Like, oh, really? You're going to say something bad about me and the war I'm enacting, and you think it's wrong? I'm going to cancel you in a way that financially hurts you, that takes money from your table, and you can't feed yourself.
Right.
So I'm totally against that kind of stuff. I don't think the government should ever be allowed to do that. It goes against our democracy. So that gets me worked up because I think that's really wrong. Now, Kathy, I hope I'm saying her name.
Kathy Griffin.
I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
I think showing a beheaded head of Trump was gross.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be, do I think she deserved to be canceled? Well, that would be up to private entities whether or not they wanted to hire someone that had done something like that.
Right.
Canceling her so she can't make any money and she's destitute. No,
because that's where cancel culture kind of began. Like now, you can get canceled, you make more money.
Oh, true. Like, who's some examples of that?
Get Dave Chappelle.
Oh.
You can't cancel Dave Chappelle. Anytime they cancel Cat Williams, people say you're canceled, you sell out arena.
Really?
Nowadays, yeah. Now,
it depends on what you're canceled for.
Well, you can say almost anything. It depends on the corporate interest that's backing you or whatever. For instance, Kevin Hart kind of stays pretty even keel, right? He's got a lot of corporate backing. So it's smart. He's not going to be like this, that, and the other, whatever opinion he has.
He's a Visa guy.
He's more like me. He's a Republican, right? Or a Democrat. He's in the middle. He's trying to find the peace, which is very smart on his behalf. Now, the other people who, what they have to say actually makes them bigger, but they're those types of comedians.
Well, I'm not going to find the peace, folks. I'm a Democrat, and I'll say it every single time.
That doesn't mean you don't want peace. That just means you have...
I think you can have sensibility, right?
I think, on both sides.
On both sides,
you
right?
You can. You can't say that's the extremism that we have now. Like people will go, you're a Democrat. Oh, you're one of them crazy liberals. Or if you're a Republican, oh, you have to be MAGA. I go, what about people that are just concerned about what makes them happy, whether or not that be fiscally or with Medicaid or healthcare or anything like that, without being the extreme of either party?
Well, you know what I said? I've said this for a really long time. I said fiscally, I'm more like a Republican.
Right.
I think you should balance your books. You should know exactly what the money of the American people are going to, right? Like, if you're going to fund a program, you better darn well know how that program is using the funds you've given them, right? And I do think there's overspending and stuff. And I think we need someone to go in, especially in California, and overhaul the budget and understand where the money's going, right?
Right.
But from a social standpoint, I'm definitely a Democrat. I believe you can marry who you want. I believe that you shouldn't be discriminated against. I believe healthcare is a human right. You know, I can't even tell you like this bothers me more than anything, only because I've had to use my healthcare. But like, you don't know how important healthcare is, how healthcare drives decisions in families. I know people who work in jobs that probably are making themselves sick because they need their healthcare. Their family needs their healthcare. And I think your choices on where you would choose to spend your 8 hours a day at work would be very different if you didn't have to worry about your health insurance.
Yep.
I know people don't want to there's this weird thing in our country where people think that if we give health care to people that it's going to break the bank. I mean, but we'll pay billions.
We're gonna have to pay it for anyway.
Well, yeah, but we go to war in another country and it just cost us so far $75 billion.
Yeah, $75 billion of money that we don't have because apparently we've been in a deficit for the last 25 years or more, right?
Yeah. Well, our deficit was not nearly what it is now. And this administration has done a very bad job. For the first time in 16 years, in polls, Democrats have polled at being better with the economy. I can't tell you, I've never heard that before. But the first time in 16 years, I don't know, 16 years ago, who was in charge 16 years ago? Can you do the math on that?
Ooh.
I don't know. Was Obama?
I'm not that fast.
That's a Rain Man. I think
Rain Man.
Obama.
So, okay, Trump's been in office 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Prior to that, we had 4 years of Biden. 4 years of Trump. That's 10.
Right.
So then it was
Obama.
So it would have been 14 years ago.
Yeah. So would it be Obama?
It would have been Obama.
Yeah. So, again, a Democrat. They must have thought everything was going well when it was Obama. Sorry, folks. But because I've always said, it's been the Democratic parties that go in and balance the budget. But I think we diverted a little bit from our free speech.
Okay, so but we're gonna a lot of it. I mean, we're stemming from free speech. Okay, so back to 8647 really quick. We'll just recap. Trying to indict Comey for putting the 8647 in the sand and the shells is a little bit asinine in my opinion.
Who are they gonna interview when they go to court about it? They say, "Hey, seashells, hey, seashells, who did this? What did they mean?"
But it's because it's him. If the average person put the same thing in the sand and posted it on Facebook, they wouldn't be indicted for anything.
They wouldn't. It's because he's retaliating against somebody he perceives as his enemy politically. Right. But you know what's crazy about that? I don't understand why he thinks Comey's his enemy. The reason that goofball became president the first time was because Comey came out and said something about Hillary's emails that made everyone go, "Ooh, the emails are,
emails that no one ever saw."
Yeah, this is.
I'm not saying they don't exist, but we haven't seen them.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? He gave the keys to the White House to Donald Trump the first time. So why Donald Trump is all after him, I don't understand that. I'm like, he wouldn't have been president the first time if Comey had not said something during an election time. He did it right before voting. And he caused Hillary to lose because I think the fence sitters got off the fence and said, okay, she did something wrong. At that time, people actually cared about wrong or right. Now, Mr. Trump had boxes among boxes in his bathroom of classified information. It makes what she look like child's play. What?
Who leaks that stuff?
Who leaks that those boxes were there?
Who's been in Trump's bathroom?
Tons of people. That's what's made it
right. That's what I'm saying. Somebody who's leaking it works for you.
Well, or they were invited because he was dumb enough to tell people, "Look at what I have. I have the nuclear codes." Like, he had very important documents there, and he was bragging about them. So I imagine people who went there for dinner were like, "Holy crap!"
Is his bathroom just open to everybody at dinner?
Yeah.
Does he have a private bathroom?
No, that was
at the White House.
No, this was at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, it was at Mar-a-Lago.
It was at Mar-a-Lago. He took all those documents to Mar-a-Lago after he was president. He wasn't supposed to. They're supposed to be archived in the National Archives. When a president leaves, even if he has a sticky note, He's not allowed to take it for him. If it was given to him while he was president, and especially on presidential grounds, he is not his. He has to. It goes to the National Archives. What?
Do you have handlers to handle that stuff?
Yeah, but I don't know if you've noticed. It seems like he's got a bunch of clowns working for him, and if they're not clowns, he fires them, which is crazy. In his first term, he had like Tillerson. He was surrounded by people who understood the rule of law, the procedures, and the checks and balances, and he made sure. And Bolton said, if you let this guy be president again, he's not going to follow the checks and balances, and he knows how to get around them now. He knows exactly what he's going to do, and he's going to hire yes people, and that's exactly what he's done. I mean, look at our FBI director. He looks surprised all the time. He's got bulging eyeballs. He looks scared, like somebody just shocked him. Like, oh my god! Like it's the weirdest thing to watch.
Does look funny.
It's
every time I see him, I'm like, he knows I'm here. He knows I'm here.
It's just ridiculous. And some of the things that people say that work for him, you're like, do you have gumballs for brains? It's insane to me. It's insane. Anyone who's not, and I get it. Sometimes there's the same kind of insane energy on the left side, but I'm going to put a flag here on the mountain. I'm going to say it's not as extreme. There's not as many of them. There seems like there's a huge crowd of cuckoo with Trump because he wants to hire other people who are either not smart and educated enough. So you can control uneducated people because they don't know things. So you want to find people, generally a good leader finds people who are smarter than they are. When I wanted to start this podcast, I looked for somebody who knew how to do one. So
I'll take credit for that.
Thank you very much. There, and that's smart on my part because I'm not a dumb bunny. If I need to know, if I don't know what to do, I find people who do.
Right.
And that makes you a smarter person, makes you a smarter
100%.
leader.
Yeah.
Only a dumb person hires somebody that's not as smart as they are. And then they're going to be dragging that person like a lead weight behind them.
So back to little free speech. So Jimmy Kimmel's joke about Melania joke that everybody's up in arms about. I will say this. One, he's a comedian. He can say whatever the hell he wants. And it's not that crazy. There's been way worse said.
Well, he said it. The thing about what he said was he said it several days before the assassination attempt.
Right.
And they tried to tie what he said to the assassination. Like, it was really gross.
Right.
So if you're not an avid Jimmy Kimmel watcher, which I am, so I know exactly when he said it, you might be like, well, that was inappropriate, Jimmy. Why did you say that? Well, he was just talking about, and he even explained himself. He went on and said, I was referring to the age difference. He goes, she's actually younger than I am. And he was like, Trump is much older. But we take
everything. So, and this is the part where, even Kimmel was like, I have to agree with Candace Owens. Because even Candace is like, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel at all. She goes, but free speech. You can't turn this into something that it's not just because you don't like what he said.
Well, so it's more than, so this is what's crazy about what he's doing with free speech, is it's not limited to just the words about free speech. What he tries to do is he tries to take the free speech or the example thereof free speech, and he ties it to something that can be very detrimental to someone else. So he's taking free speech. Jimmy Kimmel, he tried to get rid of it. He doesn't like Jimmy Kimmel. So we got to always remember, who is he getting mad about? Who's
the failed talk show host who has one of the biggest platforms?
Yeah, he doesn't like him because Jimmy Kimmel doesn't like the things that Trump does, and he actively talks about it. So he says, "Oh, he said something bad, about my wife." He gets everybody all worked up that are on his side. They start talking about how could Jimmy Kimmel do that. But meanwhile, what he actually was trying to do was get his, FCC guy to go after Disney's licenses because he wants Disney to fire them. But I am proud to say a bunch of Democrats and maybe some Republicans and some
Republicans and Democrats.
Maybe they got in there licks too, but we all canceled our Disney subscription because the only way we could get Disney not to fire or to bring Kimmel back was to hurt him in their pocketbook. Disney doesn't want to do that a second time. So guess what? They said no bueno. They're like, no, we're going to stand behind Kimmel, and their licenses aren't even up for renewal. That's the crazy thing.
Well, and again, are we going to cherry pick free speech?
You are if you leave this orange bastard in charge. You will.
I mean, certain things you can say because you say them, but if somebody else says them to you, then all of a sudden it's a problem.
Right? Well, it's a problem because the person that's running our government is mentally ill. I'm going to say it flat out. There's something wrong with a human being who is the leader of the free world, who has all the power in the world. And this guy can't take any jokes. He gets mad and he passes retribution on people. It's really bad. It goes against what our founding fathers left England for. So if you're a true patriot, you understand what this country is about, why we came into existence, why the founding fathers wrote, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of those things. And I'm getting a little heated. Can you tell? Yeah, bring it down a couple notches.
See, instead of balloons, we need like the fire bombs go up on a screen.
Get upset. I'm starting to it's all inside. It's coming out.
Getting it out. It's therapeutic.
Yeah, but like that really bothers me because I'm like, all these people who are proclaimed patriots, they're just like stepping all over the First Amendment when it doesn't help their guy. I can't tell you how many times Obama was my guy. And I'm going to say it over and over. Obama was my guy. I love the Obamas. Tell me what BS they ever did when they were in the office. None. They didn't have any scandals. Nothing. And they were good people. And that's all we care about. I don't care if a Republican runs our country as long as he's a decent dude. Yeah. But this guy is not a decent dude. And that's why all these things that normally are protected in our Constitution come up. And the thing that makes it so scary to me is that we don't have a branch of government that has a differing opinion. Generally, you have a Republican president, you have a Democratic House, and maybe a Republican Senate. And for God's sake, you do not have a loaded Supreme Court. So when it goes up the chain of command in the court system, once you get to the highest court in the land, you've got more Trump supporters. It's ridiculous. If this shoe were on the other foot and the Republicans had no power whatsoever and the Democrats were running rickshaw, I mean, the thing that the other side always gets mad about is they always get mad about that, like, oh my God, they let transgenders do this. And I'm like, do you know what percentage of transgender? That's like 1%, folks. Like, seriously, there's not even enough of them to get worried about. Like, I'm always amazed that they're like, and those Democrats, they support that. Like, are you kidding me? Like, give me a break. We're not like telling you can't live your life the way that you want to live your life, but you want to impose all of your personal beliefs on to Democrats. And and you don't have to like a transgender person. You don't have to like what someone says, but under our Constitution, you have the right to do it. You have the right to say, I don't like a gay person, or I don't like a black person. But how and when and where you say it can matter, right? We were talking about that earlier, but this president is only getting mad because he feels like he's being slighted and he doesn't like it because he's a narcissistic, crazy lunatic. Sorry. I mean, he's probably going to come for me. He's like, how can you fix her wagon? Good luck, buddy. I survived cancer. I'll survive you.
I don't know what he's busy doing, but he's busy.
Yeah, so it kind of bums me out. I mean, I think, of course, I love Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's smart, he's thought-provoked, and he generally cares about all people. He does not like Trump. I don't like him either. And some people are like, oh, you hate him. I dislike that guy through every core of my being. And the reason I do is because he doesn't care about any of us. Flat out. He doesn't even care about those conservatives that are all standing behind him. He doesn't care about those Hispanics who are standing by him. He doesn't care about those black people who are standing behind him. And he sure as hell does not care about women. So when I see these groups go and do that, and let me just say, there are countless examples of how he doesn't care about people. May I just say Marjorie Taylor Greene, who now he calls her a traitor, and he threatened her family. He made sure that his base threatened her kids. So like, if you think you're immune to a guy, and why? What happened to a segment of the United States that thought that was a good idea?
Right.
Do you want to sleep with one eye open all the time? And they will come for you. Nobody's safe. There's 2 dead Americans in this country because he put together vigilantes on the street that had no training. I mean, that is just crazy, and it does make me mad. And he's now got a Supreme Court that wants to do other things like, make voters not have any rights. And when I say voters that don't have rights, I'm speaking specifically of voters of color, period. I'm sure he's coming for the women too, but he hasn't figured out what to do with that. I mean, what do you think?
Which leads us into the other conversation about passing this law and gerrymandering and all that other stuff that's been happening in Louisiana.
Yeah, well, it just makes me mad. Louisiana goes to court, and that what they were trying to do, as you know, is they were trying to. 1/3 of Louisiana is black. They only have one congressional district that's black. So they went to their state legislators and they said, this is not fair because most of the people here are black and we think we're underrepresented. And the Voters' Rights Act of 1965, so before we were ever here, was passed by Lyndon B. Johnson, securing so that in Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act, saying that they would protect people of color so that they didn't dilute their voting power through the way that our lines and districts are drawn.
Right.
But now, because the Supreme Court voted against it, there's no power there. Like and people of color, and I'm not talking just for black people, but Hispanic people, anybody who's not white, you should be really concerned. You should be concerned that they.
I don't live in the South.
But yeah, well, that's a good thing. But the problem is what they did will affect all the states.
Yeah.
It's so when you start setting precedent. So I used to want to be a lawyer, and I wanted to be a constitutional lawyer. So the thing that becomes a problem is when you set precedent in law, those law clerks go in and they pull out the books and are like, let's see, Diane versus state of Louisiana.
Right.
And they're like, oh, it looks like, there's case precedent for this. Oh, the Supreme Court in 2026 voted down the moving of the line so that black people weren't underrepresented in Louisiana. And now they'll be able to use that as an example for why, if somebody else says, oh, this district has a ton of Hispanics, and let's not worry about that. Let's move it this way.
What is the ultimate goal of that move?
The ultimate goal of that move, what happened with the Supreme Court, is to dilute the opportunity. They said, now let me just tell you, Alito said that he was doing it because he felt that race was considered too much of a reason as to why they were doing it. Well, it absolutely is why they were doing it, because they're underrepresented in their own state.
Right.
So, we were talking earlier, you've got 50 people here, right? And of those 50, all of them are black people, right? You've got 50 white people here and 50 white people here. And how do you dilute the black vote? You move the line so that now there's 25 people here, right? And the other, you move the line so that now there's white people in there. So now that line has been moved so the pool of black people is smaller. And now when they vote, they don't win. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to shift it. So they did it here in Orange County. They were trying to do it to Mike Levin. So Mike Levin happens to be a white guy.
I was like, not a lot of black people in Orange County anyway.
No, but if you want to get rid of Mike Levin, which is what they were trying to do, they shifted the lines. They shifted them so that he had less of La Jolla. So he's very strong in San Diego, less strong in Orange County, which is crazy. He worked on the power plant. He made sure that they turned off the nuclear power plant. He works on all the, keeping the ocean from getting dirty. He does all these things, but he has a high military presence.
Gotcha.
And they have a military base just outside of Orange County, right there at Camp Pendleton.
Yeah.
But tell me if they didn't try to mess with him. They moved him more north. So you move him more north, he doesn't keep what he has south. When they moved the line north, he had less voters south in San Diego that could vote for him.
Gotcha.
And that's how you make it so that you get rid of a candidate. And that's how you make it so you dilute the people of color when they're voting, and they know
and who has the power to push the line?
So it's interesting you asked that, because I was like, how does that work? Who has the power to do that? Well, in this case, the people had the power, right? They voted for it. The people of Louisiana voted for that.
Oh.
And then they said, the lower cards said, okay. And then the upper said, somebody got mad. Mm-hmm. Sure was a white person. Hey, this isn't fair. Why are you giving all the black people all that power in Louisiana? Because up until now, and we read about this, all of Louisiana's been Republican. So, and you also, when you move those lines, when you do that stuff, you give less representation to people, which means, so you've got Congress people. Each state has X amount of people that go to Congress that represent them. So imagine if you move the line, now only white people are going to be going for Louisiana. Not necessarily only, but they take away seats from those people. So what they're trying to do before the election happens, it's huge. They're trying to make sure they take seats, because our representatives cast our electoral votes for us. So if you take seats away from Democrats, right? You like move the lines this way and that way, you will inevitably take seats away. That's why they were so mad about California. California reacted to Texas because Texas didn't ask their people. Tim Scott said, oh, I'm going to move the lines and I'm going to disenfranchise Congress people. So it's not just the voters, it's the Congress people. The Congress people won't get voted in again. So when they go to cast electoral votes, and they want to do it in all the southern states. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, literally said, we're going to do that in all the southern states. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to get 19 more House seats. Can you tell I've been up thinking about this? Because I'm super concerned. It's time to put the reins on that guy. Because I guarantee you people, and I mean all people, because I actually like all people, even people who don't agree with me.
So let's go a step further.
Oh my God, please. I need to take a Quaalude right now. I'm starting to sweat.
Yeah. Let's take that a step further. So what is the goal after, let's assume one gains control of an area? Then what?
Someone gains control and it will put 50 years before Democrats win anything.
No, but what is the benefit at that point?
Oh, the benefit is they can push their own agenda. They're halfway through 2025. They'll continue to finish it out.
I wonder what that agenda is.
2025?
Oh, you mean the Project 2025?
Project 2025. They're halfway through getting what they wanted done. We all told everybody about Project 2025. And for those independents, and that includes my husband, who did vote my direction, just to be clear, he probably doesn't want me to tell people that, but he did, because he sees the problem with what's going on. If they get through all of 2025, I'm not going to have any rights left. I'm a woman, a white woman, who's not going to have any power at all. And the reason The Handmaid's Tale is so incredibly scary to me is there are literal things in that show that are in Project 2025. Like, women, did you know women did not have access to credit cards in the 60s? Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. Yep. And they can make that happen very easily. They could cut women off so they can't go to the ATM and get money. I mean, those things are super scary to me. And people go, oh, that never happened. I mean, the pendulum swings back and forth. We've never had anyone who's been the president of the United States who has ignored the rule of law, who has asked an angry mob, talk about free speech, told an angry mob of people to march to the Capitol with the intent of stopping the vote, stopping our elected leaders from casting the votes for Joe Biden. And now they just want to whitewash that, make it like it didn't happen. The former president of the United States,
I like how they talk about it. Oh yeah, they're just having a nice little stroll through the Capitol building alone. They're climbing the walls.
Yeah, and breaking things and crushing our military.
I mean, nobody's that dumb. We're like, okay, look.
And our
however you feel about it in general, they were like, climbing on top of a building and breaking through windows.
And bear spraying our Capitol Police. I'm a huge proponent of
but blue lives didn't matter during that instance.
Well, you know what? It didn't matter in that instance. It mattered to Democrats. It mattered to us. The Capitol Police were there to protect our elected officials. And I can tell you with such certainty that Democrats were appalled by that. And the fact that, conservatives and some MAGA conservatives that were there on January 6th actually hurt them. Mm-hmm. Republicans don't get to claim being there for our service members. They don't get to claim being there for our police force and our Capitol Police. They hurt them. They injured people. People died after that too.
Right.
And is it Mike Safone? I never say his name right, but I have a lot of respect for that guy. They bear sprayed him. They beat him. He's a Capitol Police guy. He's a guy that protects us, protects our people, protects our Capitol. And I get super worked up because what I'm worried about, Tim, is a bigger, broader thing that's never happened in the United States. We've always had reasonable people. I mean, they've cheated, they've done things dirty sometimes, I'm sure, but nothing at the scale that we have now. This is a problem, and it's a problem for all Americans. It's not a Democrat or a Republican thing anymore. It's a wrong guy in the office thing. And morally and bankrupt, narcissistic, crazy person who doesn't care if 13 of our service members are killed. And I've had people compare it to when Joe Biden did the mass exodus out of Afghanistan, right? And then 13 service members got hurt. But let's be clear about why he did that. Trump removed, before he left office, he got rid of all our troops, but 2,500 of them. That's not enough people to ward off people in Afghanistan. So he took them out, and everyone had opinions about how he did it. And it was horrible that these people died. But Joe Biden didn't do that with the idea that he was going to kill anybody. He's not like asking our military or our National Guard to go places and then not house them, not feed them. Those things happened in the last month. Shipping our service people overseas and not figuring out how you're going to feed our service people.
They're hungry.
It's like a big deal, It's like it's like nobody's watching the kids at home play. I feel like that, you know what I mean? And they're toddlers and they're running around and they're setting off the sprinklers and they're opening up the dishwasher and they're throwing plates out of the cupboard. Before, we just had slight policy differences. Honestly, I could tell you that most people couldn't tell you what the differences were. And now, we've got this problem and I'm super worked up, folks. Usually I'll find other ways to laugh about it, but
it's not funny. There's a lot of, it's madness, if you ask me.
Well, I think that the Republicans are going to get slaughtered in the midterms. They should, but if we're underrepresented from seats, we won't be able to stop it. And that's unfair. That's disenfranchising the voters.
How many more states would you have to do that to actually make that a viable possibility?
Well, they've got 19 in mind. I mean, they've got 19 seats in mind in the South. I don't know how many states that it holds, but believe you me, they're working on it. The Speaker of the House sure made it a thing. He didn't seem to think it was wrong to say that. That's how crazy this is. Usually when somebody's going to do something really diabolical like that, they don't tell people. I'm like, why? So that tells you that he feels like he's untouchable. Like, I'm just going to say it. I'm just like mob boss and I'm going to say what I want. And I'm going to say, you're going to be wearing cement shoes. Good luck to you, And I'm like, as long as there's a breath in me, I'm not going to let it. I'm not going to be quiet about it. I mean, will they come for me? No, they'll have to come for a million other people who are louder, who have a bigger audience, that are louder than I am. But I am definitely for the people of our country.
And that's the thing with me too. Because I am in Republican or Democrat, I call it.
I think you're a sensible person.
That's where I was going with that. I go, I just want it to be fair, B, to be peaceful. You know what I mean? It's a lot of noise right now, and everybody's blaming, everybody's right.
But I do think blame does matter some places. I do think
there's always going to be
of Trump.
Yeah, but I think that the issue I have is not even about whether or not we shouldn't blame somebody. It's more like everybody's on the blame game train to prove their point because they're playing for the certain team, right? It's like the Raiders hate the Chargers because they're Raiders, not because they think that people on the Chargers are horrible people. That's just the team they play for. So there's a lot of that.
You made a good point. Right. So I'm going to tell you what team I'm on.
I already know what team I'm on.
You know what team I'm on?
I do know.
I'm on the team of the people.
Yeah.
That's the team I'm on. Yeah. The American people.
Right. And so, but here's my rebuttal, because you know me, anti-Timism. Everybody thinks they speak for the American people.
The problem is I don't, I can say that I think what's currently happening to Americans is not good for anybody. Mm. It's not good for you if you're a conservative. Mm. It's not good for you if you're a woman. It's not good if you're a Black man or woman. It's not good if you're a Hispanic man or woman. It's not good if you're gay. It's not good if you're transgender. I can go down the list, because they're not asking people what. Remember we talked about this, like you driving down the street, somebody's hurt on the road, and they're like, I'm going to help you. And the person who's injured, are you going to help me? Are you a Democrat or a Republican? No, nobody's going to do that. Yeah. So like, I think that, and I know people think that they're super patriotic and stuff and all that kind of crap. When I see a flag, I'm like, get so mad now when I see it on a truck or something. It just burns me, because I'm all, first of all, you're not supposed to be putting your flag on a truck like that. And a lot of time it's tattered. And guess what? If you know anything about the preservation of a flag, you're not allowed to throw it away, let alone let it get all shredded. Mm. You're supposed to protect the flag. And guess what? It's supposed to also have light at it when it gets dark. So for those of you people driving around in your all-terrain vehicles with your truck, put a light on it, damn it. Like it makes me mad. Like they don't understand, and I know I was teasing with you because I said my family came over on the Mayflower, and I'm a daughter of the Revolutionary War. And it's true, folks, I am, and so I do care. And I'm not saying that others that disagree with me politically don't care about their country. Right. But I think when you decide that you're going to let a deranged, morally bankrupt person who calls people names, who's a crazy loon, run the country and do crazy things that result in the death of Americans, you need to check yourself at the door. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you were a wackadoo Democrat doing this, I would be just as mad. Like we were talking about, Paul Pelosi and getting hammered, right? And remember we were talking about free speech, and we were talking about like what that means, and Donald Trump was like, bad mouthing Paul Pelosi, who, by the way, is a private citizen. Right. His wife was the one that was, the politician, not Paul Pelosi. And he was like wishing all sorts of ill to Paul Pelosi. And that guy never recovered. What people don't realize is what that man did to him when he hammered him. It left him hurt.
I don't think violence is the answer to any.
But that's what they say about free speech.
Disagreements, because that same type of rhetoric that people would have for Paul Pelosi being smacked with a hammer is the same rhetoric around Charlie Kirk. It's the same rhetoric around assassination attempts, because people go, oh, well, they deserve it.
See, I don't believe that. So I'm not a fan of what Charlie Kirk said or how he said it. But he did not deserve to die.
Not at all.
Not at all. And I think it's gross to even go close to that. And I think the majority of Democrats, I'm not going to say that all of, I know a few that probably be like, good riddance, Right. I don't believe that. It was appalling. I accidentally, a group had sent a video of him being shot. I didn't know what I was going to see, and I cannot unsee it. And it's really, really horrible. Yeah. He had children, small children. He had a wife, and he was out there talking, using his First Amendment right. And he had the right to do that. Yeah. Now, I also think, it's going to make me seem like a conspiracy theorist, but I also think that he wasn't shot by that kid that they blamed it on.
Oh, I don't think he was either.
I think that kid may have tried to shoot him. But he missed, because the bullets that came from the gun that boy was shooting with, or young man, I guess he might be a young man, they don't match the bullets they found on Charlie Kirk, or the one that, exited his body. So you have to ask yourself, who else was involved? And I do think that he was starting to get controversial and say things specifically about Israel. Right. And they didn't like it. And so I think somebody else did that. And I think Candace Owens, she and I don't agree on anything, but we agree on that,
Yeah.
we agree that perhaps that happened. But I think that our country, I mean, I have a good life. You and I both talk about our good life. We're out dancing during the day,
We
having
dance
fun while
class.
other people are getting
We're at a
mad.
good gym too.
Yeah, we're at the gym and having fun, and I live a privileged life, which gives me the opportunity to talk about these things. But I really think that when you start messing with free speech and you use it as a vendetta tool, that's a problem. And I do think that people need to check themselves at the door and make sure that when you're using your free speech, like somebody once told me words don't matter. And I don't believe that. I believe they matter. How you say them.
Where does free speech and hate speech cross?
So it's an interesting thing that you bring that up because I think it's interpreted differently.
It is for everyone.
For
right?
everyone.
Yeah.
So, but I do think if you say, I want to kill this person,
right,
you've crossed the line.
Right.
And if you make it public and you're actively talking about now,
but see, here's.
But then there's that nuance about the shells.
Well, okay, it's like you could say, like, if you say, I want to kill this person, it's like a threat, right?
Right.
But if you said, I wish death on this person, is it still a threat?
It's interesting you say that because I know a lot of people who wish certain people go away.
Wishing isn't doing.
It's not doing, but I think you have I think when free speech and wishing that on somebody becomes a problem is if something happens to the person. So you wish death on somebody.
Yeah, but that's like saying you actually have power beyond the stars, right?
I think you can tell people, like when Trump said, "Let's go to the Capitol."
Right, but where does it lie in the general public?
In the general public,
because if you're a person of power, yeah, you may have influence.
Well, they tell you in the Second Amendment where they draw that line. They draw that line when you start threatening people, when you actually actively are using your words to threaten somebody.
So they were the reason why I bring that up is because they were trying to say that about rap music. So rap music that was depicting what was happening in regular life. For if you say things like, if you mess with me, I'll put a cap in your ass. Is that a threat? A direct threat?
It's not, because it's in a song.
Context, right?
Right.
Does it matter if it's got music? Right?
Well, I think it matters if it's in a song versus I think they're really.
So what if people started singing their thoughts? Could you imagine? I hope it gets hit by a truck. Yeah. Like
be like, put a cap in it.
Is it the same?
I don't
I put a cap in your ass and just start sing talk everything that you don't like with anybody on the planet. Right.
Well, I never thought about it like that. That is funny. Yeah. Nice for a little.
Or make it Broadway would be even funnier. Like Hamilton.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
but I do think, like, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment tells us that you can't defame people with free speech. You can be held accountable for stuff like that. And if you're doing...
We defame people now. All day.
Right, but that's you can legally take someone and go to court on it. I think that's
so the difference between actual defamation, which means like you said something and it ruined somebody's career or life, or things were taken from them that they were maybe rightfully owned. But people say things about people that are defaming all day.
Right. But I think they mean with the intent to cause them harm enough that.
But isn't that the point?
It is the point.
Right.
So I guess what we're now faced with, and we've been faced with it, is when you have free speech, you should understand, like, when you're saying something that somebody else could say, I don't like what you said.
Right.
I mean, we can sue people for anything in this country.
Which is tough.
Yeah. But so I think that you could take people to court. I mean, think about E. Jean Carroll, she said Trump assaulted her. Mm-hmm. So they went to court about it, and she proved, and the jury found that he was liable for sexually assaulting her. But he was real upset about that. He thought that, she was defaming him. She was saying so you get into a court situation where you have to prove that what you were saying about that person that's complaining about being defamed was true. And she did that in a court of law. She won the case. She won the case. Jean Carroll. sexually assaulted her, according to the evidence.
Right.
And they proved him liable, him responsible.
She get paid for that?
Yeah, it's millions. He's still trying to get them to reverse that.
Wow.
Yeah, and and he's like, look at her, she's old. I would never touch that kind of thing. And then they showed a picture of her. He goes, oh, that's my ex-wife, Marla Maples. But it was actually E. Jean Carroll when she was young, when he did that to her. So, I mean, people find all ways to like say this current president didn't do what he did. And I'm like, when
did it just start dissecting words, and that shit irritates the hell out of me when people do that. Like when they're trying to prove their point and you say something, then all of a sudden they like try to dissect the meaning or the origin story of the word to try to, what is it called when you
obfuscate?
No, there's another word when you try to use something somebody says against them. Oh. I think I said it before on the pod.
I don't know.
Not scarecrow. There's like a name for it. Like
scarecrow.
Scarecrow. You know, where like, especially when people don't have a rebuttal to your rebuttal, then they try to dissect it. This is my favorite kind of deflection, right? I have an argument, right? And I say, answer me this question. Is this Saratoga bottle blue, right? And then instead of answering the question, they go, hey, okay, well, before I answer that, let me ask you a question. Do you know where the blue comes from?
Yeah. And you're like, you're just trying
and then now you're going back and forth on stupid points that make, and all you really wanted to know if the bottle was blue.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that, a lot of like trying to make excuses. And I think you're right about the team thing. I think people have chosen their team. I mean, I'm not going to go team Trump ever. I'm team anybody but Trump. But I do think that that's part of the problem. I do think there's a crack in the hull where a lot of independents are like, maybe I made a mistake. I didn't get lower eggs. I got higher gas. And they, meanwhile, the Democrats were screaming Project 2025 and watch out for lunatics. His own people told him. Rex Tillerson, who worked for him, is like, lunatic. Milley, general, lunatic, says he's lunatic. John Bolton warned everybody, and then Kelly did too. All these decorated military men warned us. But for some reason, people who support the military and the police didn't want to listen to those very people when it came to Trump. And I don't get it.
This is
I don't get it.
Diversion off of what you just said about like military. How come the people who are generals and who are protecting this country from foreign and domestic violence on a daily basis, if they have an opinion about administration, the whole country, half the country is going, you don't love your country. Mind you, they have general pins and the whole 9 yards, and all of a sudden, like, somebody steps down because they're like, I'm not doing that. And now they call them traitors.
I know. It's because I think the biggest problem that our country has done to themselves is they've decided to obfuscate their moral compass. A good chunk of people have. Yeah. I haven't. I still have a moral compass. I know the difference between wrong and right. You cheat on your mate, wrong.
Right.
You steal from somebody, wrong. You act like an a-hole, wrong.
Subjective, but wrong.
But subjective, but wrong. That was funny. But yeah, I mean, it makes me mad, I mean, there are certain things that as young people that we were told were wrong. And the thing that's made this so hard for me as a person is that I've had to settle the idea that some people decided to put their moral compass in their pocket and decide that they were going to excuse one person from culpability. Just one. Think of 360 million people in the United States, billions of people around the world, and one man, one old man who is probably going to expire in the next 10 years. We can only hope that, he peacefully finds his way to the pearly gates at some point,
right.
And that's not a threat to the president. everybody dies, right? Everybody leaves. But I just hope that he doesn't absolutely crucify the rest of the people in the world over his
People
bad
should
behavior.
be very leery about worshiping a false idol. I don't care who the president of the United States is, Republican or Democrat. They are not anointed by God.
Well,
in my
it's funny you say that because I had a person tell me that on Facebook, and I lost my cheese, my nuts, my everything that I had was, I thought I was going to lose my mind because I absolutely couldn't believe that a person who believes in God would say such an asinine thing like that. First of all, God's not some cheap snake oil salesman. He's not the apprentice, you're fired guy. That guy is bankrupt. If he were Jesus Christ, he'd be walking on water and making water into wine. He wouldn't be bankrupting casinos. How do you have to be some kind of fool to bankrupt a casino?
It is pimp to turn water into wine. Just like
and it does make me mad, like I get really upset. I can literally tell you how upset Frank gets because, Frank was the leader of his Bible study. He, believes in God. And this has been a very hard thing for him to sit by and watch the president hold the Bible upside down and then to send out a picture with, light coming out of his hands and then realize how unpopular within his own base that was. And suddenly he said he was imitating a doctor. And I'm like, give me a break, dude. I had umpteen gazillion doctors in the last year and a half, and not one of them had light coming out.
How many U.S. doctors wear that garb?
0.
Any hospital in the U.S. would they wear that kind of clothing in the hospital?
Nope, I've not seen it. But we just need to find a place, and we do need to find a place where people can find parts of the middle because there's no middle anymore left. I mean, and I challenge myself to get closer to the middle too. But I'm willing to do that. Now what I'm not willing to do is turn a blind eye to, gas costing me $140. And I'm also not willing to turn a blind eye to the nonsense in Iran with irresponsible people who definitely knew how important the Strait of Hormuz was, and they still did it. For those of people who want to eat fruit in the next couple months, you better go get it at Costco. I'm telling you now, because our main crops are at risk.
Mageddon.
Yeah, because our crops are at risk because all of our petrochemicals, fertilizer comes to the Strait of Hormuz from Israel, Qatar, and Qatar, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. And so we're going to be SOL when it comes to fruit. And when you can't feed your people, there is nothing more empowering, more to tell you you've got a problem and you need to get rid of people than making people hungry.
Oh, people will turn into savages.
They will, and I just hope that, that this guy or somebody with some sense. I mean, I don't want to wait. How many months away are we 4 months away from? Let's see, November, midterms. Let's see, we're May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Oh, yeah, we're still like 6 months away. May 1st, right? Today's May 1st.
Today's May 1st.
Yep. So, we've got another 6 months of nonsensical stuff where everybody's got to sit down and think about what free speech means. People have to wrestle with the idea that we've got out of control people who want to make sure they dilute the vote of the American people. And if you're not Black or Spanish or Mexican, oh, yippee yay for you. But guess what? They're coming for you too. Believe you me, they're not. This is not a thing where they care about people at all. They don't. I mean, what do you think the solution is? What do you think we're going to do?
We're going to need to fight like hell.
I'm making Tim tired today because I'm all fired up.
No, I was just up late and up early.
I'm fired up all the time, though. Tim is the.
I have a calm demeanor about me. I can get fired up about certain things that I'm really passionate about, but
you take it so much better than I do, though, because
for me, so I studied martial arts growing up. Right, we're going all the way back. I started martial arts. I was into Kung Fu theater, Bruce Lee.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Chuck Norris. I wanted to be a ninja
So
at
you
school.
must have been sad about Chuck Norris.
I was. I grew up on Chuck Norris. But the thing about like Shaolin masters and kung fu fighters and all that stuff was peace and composure in the midst of chaos.
So what happens though? How do you change things with peace and composure when the other side isn't doing that? That's what's so.
You still have to be strong-willed about. See, the thing about martial arts is that you know how to fight, right?
True.
That's why you study the arts, so that you can defend yourself. So, but you use your wisdom first, and then when people attack you, you fight back and cripple those people.
So do you believe that that's the position that we have to do to make sure that they don't steal elections?
Well, I believe
by changing electoral votes.
Right. Well, I think the whole voting thing has been a little corrupt, right? And everyone
never thought that voting here was corrupt ever. I've never thought that.
Well, I think because the whole corrupt meaning, like for instance, when they were saying dead people, right?
Yeah. Do you know how many people were dead that voted? It was like under 100.
But,
and guess what? They were
even then, but even then, right? But even then, because like I said, I'm independent. Even then, people were assuming that all the dead voters came from one party. Right.
Well, they actually identified them as Republican people who did that. They cast a vote for their mom that died and stuff. I mean, it was insane.
But the way they publicize it is like, oh, one side's doing this and the other side's not. So that's just, you know what I mean? Like, so of the people who don't really investigate, just follow the people that they believe in, which is a bad idea on all fronts, because it's like saying, hey, my pastor told me this and you didn't read it.
I think people jump the gun a bit, but I think the thing that's so crazy that I think has changed the landscape is that our president has his own Twitter.
Yeah, that's a new one.
I think
up until him, no one was on Twitter.
Nobody's watching what the president says when he's having an Adderall fit at like 3 a.m, except for now we have to deal with it. Like, you know, I know they always went Sleepy Joe, and just to be clear, Trump gave him that name.
Right.
You know, but I'd much rather have a president who's being very low key. I don't need to know anything until it's like really important and directly affects the American people.
Well, we want our presidents presidential. That's how how we got to this point. It's crazy. But up until this administration, the years before, even if you didn't like the other side, they were at least presidential. They were at least had a demeanor like they were trying to figure out how to unite the country.
You're like 100%. I mean, I didn't like George Bush. I loved his father. I voted for his dad, but I didn't vote for the son. But I like that guy now.
Yeah.
I would vote for George Bush Jr. Now and I think he, probably wasn't a lot of the things that we thought he might have been, like we're like, he's a C student. He was a drunk. He drove into the garage, when he was mad at Laura, like he did all those things.
But why do they say all of that and then they're still the president? You know what I mean?
Well,
Ronald Reagan was an actor, right?
They said that about him before he became president to make sure he didn't get voted in as president.
They say the dumbest things.
I still think Gore should have been president. They didn't count the hanging tag, so someone clearly punched a hole in the thing, but because it was still hanging, they didn't count it. That was a huge thing. That would have changed the course of history because Gore would have been president of the United States. It would have changed the trajectory of a whole bunch of things in this country. Now, did we survive it? Yeah, because George Bush was normal.
Yeah.
It was like policy differences. He wasn't a wackadoo.
Right.
Notice he's all quiet, right? He doesn't say anything about Trump. You notice that? He's always like...
He's just observing.
He is just observing. And, for whatever reason, he's there. I like that Obama says something, Clinton says something, but even Clinton's a little bit quiet because I think these people all know that they could get in trouble a certain amount.
Or they're just not advertising what they're doing, It's better to be stealth sometimes,
Well, that's true. I never thought that. I do think that George Bush is a nice guy.
Yeah. Because if you don't, you're just doing what everybody else is doing, kind of, you know what I mean? But I will say this, because I've said this about the Democratic Party, needs to bark more.
Am I barking loud enough yet?
You're barking loud enough. You're doing a great job.
Am I barking? Am I barking?
But even like the Jon Stewarts of the world will say that about the Democratic Party. Stop being so weak.
Well, they used to call the Democrats snowflakes, but now there seems to be some sort of mixture. The president of the United States wants to rebrand Democrats as the radical left. Like this person that I went to school with, like got cray cray with me. It was horrible, and he said, "Oh, you're one of those radical." Now, I did say that he drank the Kool Aid, so that probably offset him. So I'm going to be fair about that. But I really think when you say that the president of the United States was anointed by Jesus to be the leader, I think that you did something to your brain. I'm sorry, but
that's
it's insane.
That's a huge stretch. But like back to your point about, well, the point I was going to make was it's like being a bully at school, right? So when I was young, I wasn't very big, but I was strong and I would never back down, especially in Orange County because I grew up my first 10 years in Long Beach.
You got your stripes in Long Beach?
Well, I got in a lot of fights in Orange County too. But when I was up until like,
you're a lover, not a fighter. What are you talking about?
Oh, tell that to my sisters.
Really?
Yeah. They'll be like, again, I'm in the principal's office. But I was always protecting my sisters. I would never start fights because my dad was adamant about not starting fights. He goes, if you start a fight, you're in trouble. But you damn sure better end one.
Right. So once you're in, you better.
Yeah. So, for instance, like some guy tried to bully me in the locker room. Before I slammed him against the locker room and he started crying, he pushed me 10 times already before I did anything. Because I was like, my dad says don't fight. And he's pushing me. Now I'm angry. So then when I push back, it's like all 10 of his pushes and one push on my direction. That dude never.
Was he a white kid or a black kid?
White kid. It was Orange County.
Oh, I thought it was.
He wasn't bullying me because I was black. He was just an asshole.
I just wondered because I know, like, I thought. Oh,
yeah, it wasn't a racial thing. He was just the bully at school.
Oh, so and he just wanted to see if he could bully you.
Yeah.
And he learned quickly he
couldn't do that because I was quiet. But I was a sports kid and I wanted to be ninja, like all this stuff. So I learned early, like how to fight. My dad had me in jiu-jitsu classes when I was young and all kinds of stuff. So I just was kind of like.
So what did he do after that? Did he
cry?
Just, like, cry? When you walked the halls of school, did he see you coming and be like, "Whoop"?
Yeah. After that, he didn't even come in my direction.
So he's like,
it was one of those things where like, hey, if you fuck with the pit bull long enough, you get bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm like,
just don't poke the bear. Like,
you poke the bear.
I was like, what are you? Because
do you still know what happened to that kid? Do you know anything?
I don't know. That was. But I'm that way now. I could talk my way out of most altercations.
Oh, it's funny.
But when I'm like my sister though. But once I get past the point of anger, which takes me a while to get there sometimes. But I get past it, unless I'm protecting somebody else, I get there really fast. But if it's just me, I'm like, whatever.
See why I have my podcast partner?
Yeah.
Folks? If I get myself in a pickle, I know that I've got a martial arts guy that can come help me get out of it.
It's just like the last fight I got into as a grown man is because I was protecting my friend's brother because he got knocked out. I was like 37, 38 years old.
Oh, so you were a mature enough human being.
Yeah.
Your frontal cortex was all in
place.
But
the guy was standing on top of him. So
really?
I couldn't leave him there. Because when I grew up, you don't leave your boys ever. Even if you get your ass kicked, you just don't. You don't leave them. You don't leave your friends hanging. So he got knocked out, and I was walking to the car, and he went up to some drunk couple in the parking lot, and was like, "Your brother has no street sense," because typically this is what happens, right? A lot of people know this. If there's a drunk couple in the parking lot, and the guy's being a little bit rough, if you go over there, expect to get hit by her first.
Oh, really? Yeah. And why is that?
Because for some reason, drunk couples, the woman, even though she's pissed at him, will defend him.
Really?
Yeah. So he
went over. This is how sheltered I am. I would not ever know that.
So he goes over and says to the woman, "Are you okay?" And then the guy headbutts him, knocks him out. And then I turn around and he's like leaving his feet. So then I rush over there. The guy's standing on top of him. I push that guy off of him. Right? And guess who came after me? She did.
Really?
Yeah. So she comes, telegraphs a slap. I duck. And I went like this. And I just kind of like nudged her over, and then I look at him and I said, don't have her fight your battles.
And
right?
Then you got in a brawl with him.
Then I got into a fight. Yeah.
And that's what. She just stood there screaming.
So everybody started screaming, "There's a fight!" And call the cops, call them. But I was a regular at this bar, right? And I was like, I never get in fights, right? But I had to do what I had to do. So then when the cops showed up, they were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Just pissed. Like, why are you mad?" I was like, "Because I don't like to fight." Oh my God. But I'm not going to leave.
A much richer life than I.
I just don't know anything about. I don't have to fight.
Fights I see are on TV.
Another incident that my buddy Ross and my buddy Linda were both there. There used to be a place called Champs at Irvine Spectrum.
Oh, I remember Champs.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're at the bar. It's like during the sporting event or whatever, and this dude walked in, and the black guy, right, walks in. I just happened to be facing the bar. Right? And there's people on the other side of the bar. It's kind of like not packed, but there's a few people there. He starts yelling at this woman, right? And then he takes her head and just goes bang and headbutts her and walks out.
Oh my God.
I immediately get up because I'm like, I have sisters, right? So I get up and I'm like, so the guy walks to the outside of the railing.
What happened to the woman? Did she just pass out?
She's over there holding her head, right? So the guy walks over and I said, did you just hit a woman? And he starts barking at me, and I said, so I get now I'm getting mad really fast because I'm like, yo, you just hit a woman in the presence of us. There was another dude on the other side of the bar, right? He saw it happen too. I don't see him because I'm in this dude's face, but there's a rail between us. As I'm yelling at this dude, my buddy Ross jumps the fence because he's like, what's happening with Tim, right? The dude on the other side of the bar moves me out of the way and just clocks the guy. Right?
Really?
Yeah. Because I was like, so he hit him first, and then the cop showed up, and it was like 8 of us men surrounding that one dude.
Really?
Yeah.
And you said what happened, and the woman was there to corroborate what you said.
Yeah, and then everybody came up to. Was
she bleeding?
No, but she's bruised a little bit, and so then because I was the first one to it, and they saw me as like being chivalrous, right? Another fight is about to break out on the other side of the bar. And the bartender comes up to me and goes, hey, can you
fix that?
And I'm like, I'm not the bouncer. I was like, I happened to see that one and I wasn't going to let it slide.
Right.
I wasn't. You hit a woman. Like,
well, I'm glad you were there.
So, yeah, I've had some instances where I've had to be the other 10, right? I've had to be the other 10. People don't know that because they're like, oh, he's such
I think
a nice
I
guy.
like both 10s.
Yeah.
I think that's a good combo.
Yeah. When I've had to, like, I'm usually, like I said, I have my boys try to get brawls, and I'm usually standing in between them and the other person. But I'm looking at the other person, and I'm like, if you don't leave, I'm letting him go.
I'm going to release the
If you don't leave, I'm letting him go. And because my friend is pissed.
Did you hear I said, release the hounds of hell?
Release the Kraken. It was like, and luckily, like, I don't put myself in situations where I have to do that. Most of my friends are like, it's time to go. Because when the knuckleheads come out, it's usually because they're being assholes to the girls or just saying raunchy shit and the girls don't like them. And then the girls come and talk to us because we're like, hey, you have a pretty ass. Oh, you noticed I have eyes.
You noticed I have eyes.
You noticed I have
fingers
eyes.
and toes, too.
Like, so then the guys are like trying to get mad at us. I'm like, well, if you weren't such an asshole, you wouldn't have that problem.
See what you learn
just
on a podcast.
Say hello.
Just say hello.
How are you?
I want the world to return to that.
That's what I mean. Just like
the world to return to where people were decent to each other.
Even back in the day. So I have friends that can kind of equate to this that are from New York, but this was happening here. When you would get into a fight, when I was a kid, the kid that you fought probably would end up being your friend. Right?
That's what Frank always would tell Cole when he was little. You might not be friends with that person now, but you'd be surprised. Like,
we got in that fight that time, and now your homie's having a beer. Like, it's
that only happens in the male side.
I think it's a man thing. Yeah.
You get in a fight with a woman. Not that I've been in one. Yeah. The closest I got to a fight was a girl in my junior high school, like this boy, Brad. I'll never forget. I would say his last name, but he's probably still alive. So I'm not going to say either of their last names, but she was in love with him, and I was a new kid, and she would push me every day at the locker over and over and over again. And I was like, if you continue to push me, I promise you, you're not going to be happy with what I do.
Mm.
And so finally, after repeated like 20 times, she's like pushing me in the locker, pushing. One day I just opened my locker and she was pushing at me, and I grabbed her head and I pushed my locker door off. So she was screaming with her
Sounds
head
like High School Musical.
stuck in my locker.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course it drew a crowd, you know. And then the principal and the vice principal came over, and they're like, Diane's been putting up with this for months, you know. And this person whose name I wouldn't mention was, you know, tormenting her. And then I stuck her head in a locker. And that was the closest I ever got to any sort of anything physical. But it was because she was attacking me every day, and I was like, I finally lost it, and I stuck her head. She was like wiggling out with her head stuck in the locker. Not a very flattering thing a female would do, but you know,
sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
I was a kid too.
I know some girls that whoop ass, especially growing up.
Because I hung out a lot of Filipino girls. Was mad at me about that. You know that? Years later, she was working at this restaurant called the Jolly Roger. And I remember that restaurant. Do you remember that restaurant?
I do.
And I went to eat with my grandfather, my mom, and my cousins, and I ordered a Monte Cristo, and she served it to me, and I'm like, I'm eating that. She probably spit in it.
Remember that time you slammed me into a locker?
And so my grandfather
you like snot your food.
I'm not eating your food.
You're like, I didn't order mayo. That's why.
I know. Nasty. I know.
Well, dang, we got off on a train, but I love it. We got off on a different. Okay, we took the train and got on a different.
We got on a different entire track.
That's okay though.
But I think we made our point about what we think about free speech in the Supreme Court.
You can't kill free speech. I don't care what anybody says. Can't kill free speech. Yes, some of it is hate speech. But if you kill free speech, then people are going to control you.
You're going to kill our democracy if you do that.
100%. That's why I'm like, oh my gosh, the comedians to me right now are the last form of free speech, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you say.
I still tune into Jimmy Kimmel every night crossing my fingers that, you know, what's his name? Brandon Carr, the FCC guy who's like a little puppet for Trump, and he's like, I'm gonna get you, Jimmy Kimmel. You know, like. But
then you would have to kill all comedy. Yeah, and I get it because it's Trump, but just, I don't know. I have this epiphany that if the FCC cuts it off, then you just go to a network where the FCC doesn't have a say, which is like
that's what they did
every cable news.
In that
merger. I mean, not cable news, every like streaming service.
Yeah, the big merger. I think somehow Netflix removed themselves from any sort of thing, so that, you know. Then I thought, well, if Netflix remains, you know, this great, powerful streaming entity, and they try to ixnay Jimmy Kimmel,
he'll just end up on somewhere else.
Yeah, end up
because a lot of podcasts and other things, like, you can't air those things on regular TV because the FCC says you can't. That's why podcasting and all these other things and movies, right, are huge on Amazon, Netflix, Amazon Prime, like, you know, all those networks like Paramount Plus and Peacock, because you can say and do whatever you want. There is no
limit.
There's no limit. You can do curse, crazy nudity, all kinds of shit. Nobody cares because there's no FCC. So if you take things off the FCC and then they go make $1 trillion over there, then it just means you're gonna have to find out how to have some crappy content, whatever.
I know. I just want us to still have our freedoms, and I want them for everybody, even with people I disagree with.
100%.
You know,
I said, I didn't agree with something like a lot of things that Charlie Kirk said. I didn't agree with everything Candace Owens said, but they have a right to speak.
They have a right to speak, and so do the Democrats. And on that note, the Democrats better get it together, because they need to have a strong message about what they stand for and what they'll put up with. You know, and I'm going to help lead that charge. I'm going to say it over and over again. We are the party of the people, people. I'm going to say it every time I do a podcast.
I'm the peacemaker.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, I'm the peacemaker.
Well, you can be the peacemaker.
I'm the peacemaker.
Because there still needs to be some work done there.
There's
I'm going to be the Democrat, the voice for the Democratic people, saying, tighten up your message, Democrats. Tighten up. what you believe in. Let people know. And lastly, don't be a snowflake.
Yeah.
And if they want to say radical, there's nothing radical about caring about people. There's nothing radical about giving people
people
the
use the term too loosely.
Yeah, they just it's just Trump's marketing machine, and the Democrats need to sharpen their tools and market better.
Sharpen it up.
I think we have enough help with the failing economy and the gas prices.
Something's got to change. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And however we get it done, we need to get it done. Yep. We meaning everyone.
Yep.
Everyone.
Your vote still matters to me.
Hopefully I know Republicans who don't like these damn gas prices. I know Democrats who hate these gas prices. It's everyone.
It is everyone, but there is a small select of people who want to pretend that stuff isn't actually happening, via this president.
I can't help it that some people are blind.
Yeah, and I'm not blind. For anyone who thinks I don't understand the California gas
some people are just blind.
Gas tax, I understand it just fine, but that has nothing to do with the gas prices being raised in the last month or so. Come on, all right.
And it's not just gas, like you said. It trickles down.
It does, because
trucks need gas, airplanes need gas. Yeah. This needs gas. This needs oil. So then it trickles down. Okay, so then the trucks cost more money. That means prices go up, which means it's pushed all the way down to the consumer.
Yeah, think about what's going to happen with planes.
Right.
Planes take an enormous amount of fuel. Imagine they're going to ground our planes. And guess what? You can say goodbye to Amazon, because unless it can be driven to you, a lot of those things come from central warehouses and they're flown out to the warehouse in your respective area, and then you get it. So sometimes you notice you get some stuff really quickly, like they go, "Oh, it'll be here in 2 days," and suddenly they're like, "Sorry, your Amazon package is delayed," and you're like, "Well, what happened?" Well, guess what? They probably didn't have it in the warehouse that was located in your neighborhood.
Right.
Probably had to be flown here. So if you guys want to have all that easy stuff happening, all those packages, all that Instacart, everything being driven to you, which takes gas. Yeah, so that's that. And Tim,
got to kill the noise. I am still alive. But thank you for tuning in to another episode of It's Not Black or White. We are your host, Tim Stevenson.
Diane Blake.
And we will definitely see you on the next pod.
We will. Ciao. Peace out.
It's Not Black or White with Tim Stevenson and Diane Blakely. Not Black or White. It's Not Black or White with Tim Stevenson and Diane Blakely.